Hey everybody, how are you doing? This is Kersten here, and thank you so much for tuning in to the next episode of A Better Way with Kersten podcast. If you're listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, please leave me a 5-star rating and review. That will help more people to find this. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please leave me a thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel so that way you will not miss the next episode that I post or any of the new episodes that I'm going to post in the future. On this podcast, we're talking about chronic pain and chronic sensations, how to overcome them. And these chronic pains and sensations are caused by nervous system dysregulation or brain sensitivity. You may have heard the term TMS. That's what it stands for. And basically, it means that your problems that you feel in your physical body are actually not coming from a physical source, but they are there because of your nervous system dysregulation, and your brain is just really, really sensitive. And to put it really broadly, it is all caused by stress, some form of stress, and we have to work on that stress so that you can overcome these chronic sensations. And you probably know that a big part of this stress is emotions. It's also overachieving, it's pushing ourselves too hard, being super highly self-critical. All these things contribute to your chronic pain and chronic sensations. In today's episode, though, I want to come back to strength training. It's been a minute since I've talked about it, but I find that strength training is so important for everybody, including people with these chronic pains and chronic sensations. And having been a personal trainer for over 10 years at this point and having several national certifications, I know that there are not too many people out there who combine this mind-body work and then strength training and emphasize the importance of training, emphasize the importance of movement when you have these mind-body sensations. And that's why I want to keep talking about it, because I think we are missing a big opportunity here if we're only trying to talk to our brain and yes, do the nervous system work. But if we don't show with our physical bodies that we are not afraid of our symptoms, if we don't pick up a little bit more exercise or start lifting a little bit of weights or even just taking longer walks, then how do we prove to ourselves that we are truly okay? And strength training, of course, has so many health benefits for everybody. And I think even if you are in quite a bit of pain, you can do a little bit of it. You can do something in most cases. And of course, I know that this is not always the case. Sometimes people really are in bed and cannot move. And I understand this, and this is very, very difficult. But if you have some pains and you can move and you're just really afraid to do a little bit more, this is something that you can start working with, and you can open up that window of tolerance a little bit more and get started with exercise a little bit more. So what we're going to talk about today is different topics related to strength training and having these chronic pains and chronic sensations. And I'm mainly focusing today on those of you who have already started strength training despite having these chronic sensations, and that's awesome that you have started, but maybe you hit some sort of obstacle. We're going to talk about 3 cases specifically. First, what to do if you have a setback and how do you come back to training then. The second one, how to adjust to other things that are happening in your life that are maybe more important or take more time out of your day. How do you adjust your training then? And then the last one is understanding the difference between physical injury and a possible TMS uptick. Now, these topics are for people, like I said, who already have started. But if you haven't started your strength training yet and you have these chronic sensations, I want to offer a couple of resources for you. The first one is a quiz that I created, and this quiz will help you to find out what is your biggest fear that is holding you back from starting strength training. And once you identify this biggest fear through this quiz, then you will also get some recommendations, some tips and tools to start moving out of that fear and start taking action. Please go ahead and take that quiz. It is completely free and you get your results instantly. You can find this link in my YouTube description. The other resource that I have for you is my 14-day course, Strong and Sensitive. Again, if you haven't started your training yet, you're like, how do I do this? Why should I do this? I don't know. I'm still in a lot of fear. Then this free course will give you some mindset tools to start overcoming these fears. And it also gives you super simple body weight exercises that you can get started with and learn that there's nothing dangerous in moving your body. And if you already have some experience, then this course also has the next level workouts, which are for people who are able to use some dumbbells or some weights. So either way, whether you're a complete beginner or you have a little bit of experience, I highly recommend that you get that 14-day program if you're still scared to start with strength training and you need to boost your mindset, get that to the right place, and you need a specific plan to follow. And this one is also completely free. So both of these resources, the quiz, identify your biggest strength training fear, and then the second one, the 14-day program, sign up for one or both if you want to. They are completely free, and you can find the links in my YouTube description and in show notes as well. Okay, so today, like I said, we're going to talk about these cases where you have already started strength training, even though you still have some TMS, and what to do if something happens. Life throws stuff your way. The first thing is this: if you get a setback or you get a symptom uptick, it's also called often, what do you do? And sometimes it can really be so that you feel like, I just can't do anything, or I don't want to do any of the strength training. I don't feel like even modifying. I'm just really in a lot of pain or a lot of emotional stress, and I just don't feel like I can do strength training right now, and I think I need a break. Okay, that's fine. If you need a break, then take a break, but don't stay on that break forever. Now, once you start feeling that, okay, I am ready to start coming back, right? How do you then pick back up? Do you go back to what you did before, or do you do something easier? And honestly, this is totally up to you. You can go back to where you left off. For example, I have a beginner level program that is meant for people with TMS. It's called Train to Build Starter. And let's say you were on week 3 and you did week 3 workouts. And then you hit this little setback and you had a little uptick and you needed to take a week off. So do you feel like, should you go back to week 3? And you can. If you feel like, no, I'm feeling really strong and solid and good, I'm going to go back to what I did. But a lot of people don't feel like they want to jump back in. So there is also a way to ease back into it. And this is where I want you to trust yourself and understand that you have the right to make changes to a workout program. So for example, you go back to that week 3, but you're only going to do half of the workout, or you're only going to do, instead of 3 sets, you're going to do 2 sets. Or you're only going to start with a yoga video that is 15 minutes long that you find on YouTube. Or if you are in my Train to Build Starter program, you will find mobility flows. Maybe this is your step back into, not step back as in backwards, but step back into doing what you did before. And start with something more moderate. You can modify, you can change. And I'm saying this because I know a lot of people are such perfectionists and think that if a program said this, then I have to do it this way. And if I quote unquote fail to do it exactly the same way, everything is lost. And I'm back in square one and oh my God, I failed this and this is not okay. So we don't want to go there at all, because remember, the one part of why you got TMS was that you were super hard on yourself, very likely. You were being very perfectionist. You were beating yourself up if you didn't follow the rules or the plan to a T. Let's not do that. So once again, if you had a little bit of a break, don't let that break extend to months and months. But however much time you need, maybe it's 3 days, 4 days, maybe it's a week, then come back. And if needed, come back in a way that works for you better. Meaning that you're going to start with something lighter, you're going to modify, you're going to just stretch or do something simpler, and then ease back into it. So drop the perfectionist mindset. Everything is good. The second point that I want to make is this. Sometimes you need to adjust your workouts based on what's happening in your life. And this comes to mind especially when I'm thinking about clients who have a busier season with their work. For example, there's so many examples, but let's say that you have a big project going on, or you are working hard to get that promotion or whatever it is. And a lot of times these people think that their strength training workouts have to be as hardcore as they were before. Let's now talk about somebody who is in a little bit more advanced level. And they think that they can do it all, like all of the things. I'm going to work so hard on that promotion. I'm going to put in extra hours at work. I'm barely getting any sleep. And I have to go to the gym and crush my body the way I did before. I have to crush the weights. I have to hit PRs all the time. PR stands for personal record, right? The heaviest weight you've ever lifted, for example. Let me give you an example. Somebody does 130-pound deadlifts, and now she has this lot of stress with work. Sleep is not so great. Recovery is not so great. And she still thinks that she has to go and lift that 130-pound deadlift. And this may just not happen for you. And again, this is why we need to talk about perfectionism, because we are really good at pushing ourselves and expecting that we have to do everything 101% all the time. It's so common for people who have these TMS type of symptoms, myself included. And we still have to understand that even though we are awesome and amazing and we can do a lot, and our nervous systems are pretty damn awesome for being so solid and like keeping us alive, because this is what their function is. Even though we are very strong, we are not meant to do everything all the time with 101% effort. Just not happening. And so if you are going through a more intense period in some other area of your life, whether it is work or some family stuff is going on, or you're traveling more, or whatever it is, you have to realize that something has to give, because you have visualized a bucket, right? There's your bucket, it's your stress bucket, and you're dropping things in there all the time. And now if you are working super hard and that adds a lot more weight into this bucket than it normally does, then doesn't it make sense to adjust somewhere? And sometimes you will have to adjust in your workouts. And again, very, very difficult for a lot of people to understand it, that they think that my body is supposed to be able to do everything all the time, and my mind is supposed to be on all the time, 24/7, and I have to do this, and I have to push, and I have to grind, and if I don't do all of these things, I am not good enough. But what you're doing at the same time is you're making that stress bucket heavier and heavier and heavier, and that's why your chronic symptoms go up. That's why your chronic fatigue may start to set in. That's why you start to feel slow and sluggish. That's why you feel like I don't want to do anything, because you didn't catch the moment where you had to adjust your stress, right? And one of the stressors, whether we want it or not, working out is actually a stressor. It, of course, does relieve your stress as well in a certain way, but it also does add, like physically, it does add some stress. So you have to adjust. You have to adjust based on what's going on in your life. And then the last topic that I want to cover today is getting injured, like actually getting an injury from something that you did, versus having a TMS uptick. And here, let's talk about the differences, and let's talk about what helps and what doesn't help in these cases. Okay, so let's say that you are getting a little bit of a sensation, symptom, something in your body starts hurting. And you may go into panic. You might start thinking, oh my God, what did I do? Did I hurt myself lifting weights? Or is this TMS? What is this? And to help you to kind of clear up this confusion, I suggest you think about two things. The first thing is this: do I remember hurting myself somewhere? And the second question is this: have I had more stress, more heavy emotions, more like low mood? Okay, ask these questions. And if the answer to this first question is yes, I do remember hurting myself, well, then there's probably something that is truly physically hurting you. You may have injured yourself. But if you don't remember injuring yourself, and if you do remember that, yes, I have had more stress, emotional stress, relationship stress, financial stress, election stress, a lot of people have that, then if you have had more of these stressors and your body started hurting and you know that you are prone to this TMS stuff, well, there's a really good chance that this is TMS. Really good chance. And of course, if you want to have peace of mind, you can always go and get checked out. But if you don't remember hurting yourself, and also you haven't done anything crazy really at the gym, you haven't like lifted a ton heavier weights than what you normally do, then probably this is TMS. Now, what helps and what doesn't help in both of these cases? Well, let's say that you understood that your pain is truly TMS. Then what you want to do is approach it psychologically and go back to think, what were the things that caused me stress? Oh, okay, I know. That's it, right? That's what caused my stress. Focus on calming your nervous system down. Notice if you are in this fight or flight state more often. What can we do? Well, you can go back to a couple of episodes and listen to the ones with somatic practices in it. How can I take down my anxiety? How can I reduce this time that I spend in fight or flight? Maybe you're going to do some butterfly hugs, right? Where you put your hands on your chest. I'm showing this if you're watching some video. And you're going to tap one hand and then the other hand. Maybe you're going to address your anxiety this way. Maybe you focus on staying calm, right? And maybe you tell yourself that this will pass because this is TMS. I'm not broken. Now, what doesn't help is going and Googling everything, sharing this with everybody who wants to listen, worrying, talking about it all day long, and then trying to find the pain all the time. Because sometimes you have moments when you don't have actually any pain at all from TMS, but you are going into the sensation, like looking for it. Oh, I want to find that. Or I don't want to, but I'm going to check and see if this pain is still here. And trust me, when you look for it, you're going to find it. So constant body checking, talking about it, Googling, obsessing, worrying, spending hours and researching, telling everybody, this only makes your TMS pain worse. This is really TMS basics. Talking about it, obsessing about it is what makes it worse. Instead, let's turn inwards. Instead of looking for this external answer, let's turn inwards and see what stressed us out so bad. Let's see if our bodies are in fight or flight all the time and address that part. Now, let's talk about the other side of it. If it truly is a physical injury, well, how does that happen? And how do you know? Well, like I said, you notice something, you hurt yourself at the gym or otherwise you fell or something happened, right? Like physically actually happened. Or it could sometimes also be that when you are lifting weights, you go too heavy too soon. You may also hurt yourself and that can build up over time. So it's definitely a possibility. I'm definitely never going to tell you that every hurt, every pain in the world is always TMS. It's just not true. And right now I have a small injury myself too, and I know exactly that this is a physical injury. So what then helps in this case? Well, in this case, it is helpful to do some research or ask for help. Go and get it checked if you need to, if it's serious. Or in my case, with my little injury right now, I reached out to my best friend, who is a physical therapist, and I asked her, and she said, yeah, this is a pretty common sense, and the way you describe it, it makes total sense that you hurt yourself this way. Here are the 3 exercises that I want you to do the next 2 weeks, and I don't want you to put any stress on your upper body. Cool, okay. And I asked her advice, and I got the advice. I'm doing the exercises, and I'm taking care of it, but I'm not sitting on Google like hour after hour all day long. Now, if you don't have anybody to ask, maybe you go and Google and see, what could it be, what makes sense, but try to do this from this perspective of I'm staying calm, it's gonna be all right, my body knows how to heal. It knows how to heal. And the way I was thinking about this injury that I have right now myself, I was thinking, okay, for like 39 years of my life, I haven't had an injury there, and now I do. Of course, it's going to go back to the way it was, the tissue that is injured right now. Of course, it's going to grow back the way it was because it has been normal and healthy for 39 years. Now there's a little bit of injury. Why would it not go back? The body's freaking intelligent. It knows how to grow back. If there's like a little tear in your muscle, something in your strain in your ligament, fracture in your bone, it wants to grow back to the way it is healthy. And this is what it's designed to do. So why would I, with my obsessive thinking, start to just like change it or make it go away faster? It's not going to go away faster if I just think about it more. So I'm just going to do the treatments that I need to do. And that's how I'm helping. But who's doing the main work is my body. And what doesn't help, right, in this case of real physical injury is, like I said, like going crazy and talking to everybody and obsessing and worrying. So this is the same thing, whether you have TMS injury, TMS uptick, or physical injury. What doesn't help is obsessing, talking, researching until you're exhausted, discussing all the details with everybody. That doesn't help. But what helps in case of TMS is staying calm, thinking about your stressors, calming down your nervous system, telling yourself it's going to be right. And what helps in the case of physical injury is finding out what it really is, reaching out for help if it's necessary, and then getting the treatment, and then letting the body do its job. Okay, so a lot of strength training stuff today. I hope that this podcast was helpful for you. And once again, I want to recommend to you that if you have not started with strength training yet and you have these chronic sensations, go check out these 2 resources that I just mentioned. The first one is the quiz. What is the biggest fear that's holding you back from starting strength training? Go check out that quiz. And then the other one is the 14-day course, Strong and Sensitive. I've gotten so much really great feedback on the Strong and Sensitive course, and I want you to experience the good stuff there as well. So check out these resources. Thank you so much for being here today, and I talk to you again very soon. Take care.